Welcome to the Dominican Republic. This dynamic flow will put your stability, balance, and steadiness to the test in many different ways. We will be challenging the stabilizing muscles in every part of the body and building strength that will bring balance both physically and mentally. So if you're ready to discover more about your sense of balance and have loads of fun, let's start flowing. Let's get started standing at the top of the mat. Take a deep breath in and begin rolling the shoulders back and rolling them forward, loosening up the shoulder joint. And then grab your hands behind your back, open up through the chest, reaching your chin up to the sky, opening up through the front side of the body. Reaching the hands back behind you, slight arch in the back. Inhaling, breathing in fully into the lungs, and exhaling all the air out. Let's reach the arms up to the sky on our next inhale, and release them down to the sides, and reaching back up. Release them down. Getting more movement into the shoulders, and then bring the hands down to heart. Taking a moment to ground down into the mat, finding balance on both of your feet, connecting to that sensation of stability, of steadiness. Set an intention for this practice, remembering why you're here. And let's release the hands down, reach up to the sky, and then fold forward, lifting up halfway, and then bend the knees and step back into plank. Chaturanga down, upward facing dog, and downward facing dog. Release it back. Heels are reaching toward the mat. Let's breathe. And bend the knees and step forward into forward fold. Roll up slowly, coming back into Tadasana, grounding into the mat. Reach the hands up to the sky and bend down, folding forward. Lift up halfway, and you can step or hop back into plank. And flowing it out, upward facing dog, and back to downward facing dog. Hips are reaching up toward the sky. The chest is reaching toward the mat. We're opening through the shoulders, getting into the hamstrings, and maybe sway side to side in our downward facing dog. You can bend one knee at a time, feeling the weight transfer and from side to side in each of your feet. Bend the knees and step or hop between the hands. Forward fold. Bend the knees and slowly roll back up to Tadasana. Hands can be at your sides. Palms open toward the front of the mat. Then let's lift that right knee, bring it into the chest. And if you lose your balance here, that's fine. At any time during this practice, if you lose your balance, just come back into the pose. Recenter, reground. And now let's reach the foot back into Warrior 3. Hands at your sides or maybe reaching forward, which is a little bit more challenging. And then bring the right hand down to the mat, fingertips down. Left arm is reaching up to the sky. Then bend that back leg and either just stay like this, reaching toward the foot, or you can grab onto it. Bending the bottom knees, you try to lift up slowly, coming up, grabbing onto the foot with both hands. Again, if you fall out, that's perfectly fine. We're working on our balance. So grab onto the foot, staying here or maybe pushing into the hands with the foot, getting a little stretch in the back, and then release the left arm up to the sky and reach forward as you balance on your left foot, finding dancer's pose, pushing into the right hand with that right foot, and then releasing dancer's pose, lifting the right knee up to the chest. Hands are reaching up to the sky. Cross that right knee over the left knee, left elbow over the right elbow, sitting down to eagle pose. And let's lift up to Tadasana. Reach up to the sky. Let's sit down into our chair pose, getting into the quads a little bit more. And maybe add a little bit more of a challenge to your balance by lifting up onto the balls of the feet. Lifting up to Tadasana, still on the balls of our feet. And releasing the heels down to the mat. Recentering, re-grounding. Pushing into the mat with every part of your foot. The right side, the left side, all the toes. Trying to push down evenly into every part of your foot. Taking another deep, calming breath. Let's inhale as we reach the hands up to the sky, stretching up and folding forward with the exhale. Let's bend the knees and step or hop back to plank, chaturanga, upward facing dog, and downward facing dog. Great job. And now let's bend the knees once again, step or hop between the hands, slowly roll up to Tadasana, feeling the different sensations in your body. Noticing how you're feeling. And now let's move to the next side. So let's lift that left knee up to the sky, up to your chest. Maybe hold on to it with the hands. And then release that left leg back, stretching back into Warrior 3. Hands can be at your heart, at your sides. And then reach that left hand down to the mat, opening to the right side, reaching the right hand up to the sky, and stay here. Maybe grab onto that foot with that top arm, and then we're going to try and lift up to Tadasana while still holding onto that back foot, and maybe grabbing onto the foot with both hands now, still balancing. Push into the hands with the foot, finding a nice arch in the back, little back bend, stretch. And then finding our dancer's pose, right arm reaches up and then forward. Pushing into the hand with the foot. And releasing, coming into our eagle pose. So right elbow over the left knee over the right knee. Sitting down into eagle. And release up to the sky, Tadasana, sitting down to our chair pose. And for an added balance bonus, lift those heels up, variation of chair pose. And then try to lift up to Tadasana while still on the balls of the feet, heels lifted, lift, 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 and release down. Amazing job. Take a deep breath in, feel how strong your body is. Let's reach up to the sky and fold forward, lifting halfway, step or hop back to plank and flow it out, meeting back in downward facing dog. Taking another deep connective breath while I fix my little wardrobe malfunction. Just use this to get deep into those hamstrings. Let's bend the knees and step or hop forward to the hands, forward fold, and then lift up to Tadasana. Hands reach up and coming down to the heart. And let's lift that right knee up to the sky. Grab onto the big toe with the right fingers, and either keep the knee bent into the chest or straighten the leg out and to the side, trying to straighten that left leg as much as possible. And then try to grab onto the right side of the foot with the left hand and open that right arm to the back, opening to the right side, straightening the leg. This can be very, very challenging, so just give yourself some grace, some patience. And then let's bring that back hand forward, grabbing onto the foot with both hands now, and try to pistol squat down to the mat, sitting down. You can keep the left knee bent or extend the leg out. And then let's grab again onto the right side of the foot with the left hand, opening to the right side, reaching back with that right arm, trying to keep both legs as straight as possible, but of course bending the knees if you need to. Do what's best for your body today. And let's come back to center, grabbing onto the foot with both hands. From here, we're going to come into a lunge position. So reach that back foot behind you, step it back, place the left foot on the mat, finding our lunge pose, holding in the psoas stretch. Before we step that left foot back into side plank, reaching the left arm up to the sky, and then bending that top leg, let's step it forward to wherever is most comfortable. So maybe a bit more forward or a little bit more in front of your hips. Continuing to reach up and over with that top arm, and then release the hips down to the mat, reach back with that top arm, and lifting up, step the left foot back on top of the right foot into our side plank, and releasing forward to plank, holding, and then let's walk the feet out just a little bit, maybe about hip width apart, and then try to bring that right hand in towards the center of the mat, reach back with the left hand, and then switching to the opposite side, switching back and forth, balancing on just one hand, one arm plank. Bring the feet in, and let's chaturanga down, lift to upward facing dog, and lift the hips back to downward facing dog. Great job. Bend the knees and step or hop between the hands, forward fold, and let's roll up to Tadasana, regrounding, taking another moment to reconnect to your breath. And now let's switch sides, left knee into the chest, grab the toes with the left fingers, extend that leg out and to the side. You can also keep the knee bent. Don't worry about getting the leg completely straight. We want to really focus on the balance. Let's bring it back into center, grab onto the left side with the right hand, and reach that left arm back behind you. Now you can follow it with your gaze, or you can just stay looking forward or maybe down at the mat. Let's come forward and pistol squat down as you're holding onto your foot. Sit down to the mat and either extend both legs or keep that right leg bent. Again, grabbing onto the left side of the foot with the right hand as you open to the left side, looking back, keeping the left knee bent if needed. And coming back to center, release that left foot back behind you, step to the mat with the right foot, coming into a lunge pose. Noticing how your left hip flexor feels. And then stepping into side plank, right foot on top of the left, right arm reaches up. And let's step that right foot in front of you, reaching up and over with the arm. Release the hips down to the mat and reach back. Lifting back up. Step into side plank again. And then coming into plank. Deep inhale. Let's walk the feet out. And again, finding balance in our one-armed plank, switching from side to side. Balancing on the left hand and then the right. Coming back into plank pose. And chaturanga down, upward facing dog. Lift the chin up to the sky and then releasing back into downward facing dog. Stretching out the shoulders. Bend the knees and step forward into forward fold. Rolling back up to Tadasana. Reach the arms up to the sky and then bring the hands to the heart. Taking another connective breath before we reach up again. Fold forward. And now let's roll our wrists out. Getting some movement into that joint. Continuing to get into the hamstrings as we're folding forward. Keeping a slight bend in the knees. Or keeping them straight. So wherever you're at. And then let's place the back of the hands onto the mat in front of the toes. Swaying from side to side. Again, bending into the knees if you can't quite reach the mat. And then place the palms of the hands onto the mat, fingers facing toward the toes, getting a nice stretch into those forearms, bending into the knees as much as you need to, and then let's place the palms on the mat with the fingers out to the sides, or maybe backs of the hands on the mat with the fingers facing in. Just do whatever stretches you'd like here, just prepping our wrists for our next poses. And our next pose is going to be crow pose. So if you're not there yet, you can just practice bringing a bit more weight into your hands and your shoulders. So let's try that first by lifting the heels off of the mat, bringing the hips up and over just a little bit more than we're used to, rocking back and forth. And then let's bend the elbows and the knees, bring the knees to the triceps. And then maybe try lifting one foot at a time, just noticing how that feels, noticing where your weight is, or maybe lifting both feet off of the mat, focusing on one point in front of you to help you with your balance, and release your feet down to the mat. Let's keep our heels lifted as we are going to sit in a toe balance. So our heels are together, our toes are pointed out, our knees are wide. You can rest your hands on top of your thighs or maybe clasp your hands behind your back and open up through the chest like we did in the beginning of this class. Or you can simply rest your hands on top of your thighs. To make this even more challenging, close your eyes. And then if you'd like to go a bit deeper into stretching the hips, you can bring the chest forward as you grab under and around, grabbing onto your heels, making a little ball shape as your whole torso is reaching forward, balancing on your toes still. And then let's sit down to the mat. Soles of the feet are together, knees are open, finding butterfly pose, keeping the back straight before we bend and fold from the hips, bringing the forehead closer to the toes. This is another opportunity to really ground down into the mat through your sit bones. And let's lift up. Let's come to the center of the mat, seated with the legs crossed. Let's just make a few circles with the torso, reaching forward to the side and back, rounding the back as we come back, arching the back as you come forward. Moving from side to side, really getting a lot of movement into the chest, into the spine, and coming back to center. Take a deep breath in as you reach the hands up to the sky, and hands come down to heart. That was an amazing practice. You did such a good job with all of the balancing postures that we did. I hope you feel amazing and ready to take on the rest of your day. Namaste. Please don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed this practice, and subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more videos like this one.